want to thank all of you for being here with me today. We are having a little brain fuel. Yeah? I think you can use code POKERCOACHING to get a discount at BRÈINFUEL.com. Check it out. It's good. It gets me going. Lasts throughout the entire day. Over this weekend, I received this thing in the mail. Can you see it? Can you read it? It's kind of hard to tell what it says. It's really shiny. There we go. Presented to Jonathan Little, PokerCoaching.com, for passing 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Pretty cool. It's a nice little mirror. The kids enjoyed the mirror. There's the camera. That's what you all look like to me. That thing right there. Yeah? So anyway, thanks to all of you for getting us up to 100,000 subscribers. This will stay right here. Does that look okay? That'll work. Anyway, hope you're all having a fantastic day. I had a nice weekend. We had a little birthday party for my son, Thomas. December is always tough for me. Well, tough for me in terms of going to play poker. Because one of my kids has a birthday on the 19th of December. One has a birthday on the 24th of December. I have a birthday on the 22nd of December. And I have massive FOMO because they have big poker tournaments at Bellagio in Prague every December. And I don't think I get to go play any of those anymore. But that's okay. Such is life. You don't always get what you quote-unquote want to do. That said, it's nice to be home with a family. I made a conscious decision a while back, 4 or 5 years ago now. Actually, I guess 6 or 7 years ago now. Time flies when you're having fun. I made a conscious decision to try to be able to stay home more with my family. And that resulted in me inevitably playing less poker and doing less, just traveling and hanging out. And I think that's fine and good. I don't think having a family is necessarily for everyone. Having kids is necessarily for everyone, but it works for me, works for my wife, and I'm happy about that. When the kid gets older, you can go to Prague for vacation in the winter. Definitely true. And when they turn 21, we can go to Vegas in the summer for vacation in the winter. And that'll be fine and good. I'm in no rush. We have all the time in the world. Some of you asked me, how did poker go for me in 2021? I was looking back through my spreadsheet, and it's going to sound bad, but I played almost no poker. And when you play almost no poker, you're going to experience the full brunt of variance. I think I played something like 18 or 20 tournaments, give or take. Couldn't exactly tell because buy-ins were all mixed up and when the spreadsheet I looked at 5 seconds ago before this started. And I cashed in 1. That's not too good. Luckily, it was a final table in a $50,000 tournament, so we got, some decent amount for that. But at the beginning of this year, I made the conscious decision to play almost entirely high roller tournaments. You may say, why? It's a tough thing to figure out because my situation is different than the situation of a lot of people. For those who don't know, I have a training site, PokerCoaching.com, and anything I can do to reasonably get good publicity for the site is going to be quite valuable to me, and it's not quite valuable to random people playing the tournaments, right? So there is inevitably some value in me final tabling tournaments that other people do not have, because if I final table and win big tournaments, people will see me who do not necessarily know me, right? There's value in publicity for me because I have a business that can capitalize on it. So I made a point to play mostly high roller tournaments. We got some pretty great coverage from Poker Go. They seemed to like me there. We worked well together. And I didn't do all that great. Like I said, 1 for 18. That said, I had 3 big bubbles. I had 3 big bubbles this year out of 18 tournaments. So 1 final table, 3 big bubbles. One of them I had aces against queens. I made a video blog of it. I decided to film 1 hand, 1 time. I got it all in, got out the camera on the bubble of the $25,000 tournament. Brick, 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 queen. It's good for YouTube, I guess. Not so good for me. Another one, I got it all in with kings against jack 10 suited. I raised, someone called, someone ripped it all in for 40 big blinds on the bubble. They actually had a little bit more than me. They had like 60 big blinds, but the other 2 stacks I think the opponent had 30, I had 40. I called it off, of course. He had jack 10 suited. I lost. I don't remember how I lost, but I lost. That was a big pot on the bubble of a $10,000 tournament. And then a $100,000 tournament, the World Series. Last tournament, one of the last tournaments I played, I had 2 times average with something like 20 people left when 10 get paid. So you know, we're in a pretty good spot. At the same time, though, 2x average was like 45 big blinds. I got it all in 3 times. Don't remember how I got it all in. Oh, I got it all in with ace 9 against ace queen. I'll tell you a hand I wish I could have back. I wish I would have played this one differently. Tight aggressive player who had even more incentive to be tight aggressive because he had a very loose aggressive player on his direct left. Min raised button off of a 12 big blind stack. You may say, why would you possibly min raise 12 big blinds deep? This was with about 20 people left. Let me see if I can pull up my poker coaching site. I'm going to presume there were effectively no payout implications yet, because even though we were only 10 away from the money, we were actually kind of far from the money, because you have to lose half the field. Who knows what is going to show on my screen whenever I flip over to this chart. So give me just a second. Bear with me. Hey, look at that. I lined up pretty nicely. Close enough. Okay. 12 big blinds deep on the button, assuming no payout implications. This is what the opponent should actually do. You may say, shouldn't he only min raise with the absolute nuts? Well, not if he's good. And if you're playing a $100,000 buy-in tournament, I have to presume you are pretty good, right? So notice here, the hands in light red min raise, the hands in dark red shove it all in, okay? That said, I think if anything, most people are not min raising the jack 5 suited and the queen 4 suited, and then 10-9 offsuit, and the jack-9 offsuit, and the king-7 offsuit, nearing the bubble. I just don't think people are doing it. I think they're mostly jamming or folding. So if anything, I think most players, even good world-class players, are going to lose a lot of these lower hands, like king-2 suited, queen-5 suited, etc., from their range, which makes their range a little bit stronger, right? Again, this is when it folds around to the button. 12 big blinds deep, okay? So, what do I do in the big blind? I had like 50 big blinds, 45 big blinds, whatever. Let's take a look at my strategy. You may say, what is this program? This program are the GTO pre-flop charts on pokercoaching.com. You can get those on the Poker Coaching app on your phone. They work great. You can access charts quickly and effectively. Here is the big blind's response against a min raise. As you see, ace-9 offsuit calls or shoves. So 35% all in, 65% shove. So like my shove is certainly not ridiculous by any means, right? But I think if anything, if the opponent's range is very tilted towards value and untilted towards bluffs, I should probably not be jamming quite as many of these like king X suiteds, quite as many of these ace X offsuits. And maybe I'm supposed to just call a lot more. Or maybe even fold a lot more. Like you see a lot of calling here, right? Like almost every suited hand is playing. Maybe I'm supposed to be pretty tight in this scenario. I'm kind of surprised to see 9-8 offsuit folding to a min raise, getting good pot odds, but that's what you're supposed to do. 12 big blinds deep, apparently. So I wish I would have not shoved this one. I did shove this one. I presumed I was supposed to shove like every ace X offsuit, because you know if you look at these spots over and over again, you'll see common trends, right? Like here's 15 big blinds, button, a big blind versus button, lots of shoving against the min raise. 20 big blinds deep, lots of shoving against the min raise. 25 big blinds deep. Less shoving now, but still a lot of shoving. My internet not working today? Come on, internet. There it goes. Still, see, less shoving, but whatever. You see, 12 big blinds deep, we are shoving a lot of the time in the spot. So anyway, I shoved. He had, what do you have? He had ace queen and I lost. So that was one of the flips. Not really a flip. I got it in behind. That was a flip. Another one, someone raised, I jammed ace king. Someone cold called tens. I lost that flip. And then, I even made a straight and I lost the flip. That's unlucky. And then the last one, I shoved my last 7 or 8 big blinds. Somebody with a ace 6, I think, from the cutoff, I think, or hijack, one of the two. I don't remember. Small blind call, king 9 suited. I looked it up. It was a good call from him. And I lost that one too. So, we took like 14th place when 10 got paid in the most recent $100,000 tournament. So, 18 tournaments, one final table for $250K or so. So, you know, solid cash. Then 3 bubbles. The 3 bubbles are tough because those very easily could have been very solid cashes. So, a lot of people look at this and think, oh my God, you had a terrible year of poker. But in reality, I just didn't play that much. First off, COVID wrecked the first half of the year. I don't think I even started traveling until like September or something like that. August. Something like that. I did go and play a little bit of Poker After Dark at the beginning of the year. That was a lot of fun. Got unlucky there too, now that I'm thinking about it. There was a hand where I flopped the top pair in a 3-bet pot against a backdoor flush draw. He made the flush. I paid off. And then I lost 2 flips. Such is life. But again, what all this amounts to is I really didn't play a lot of poker. I really did not play a lot of poker this year because, COVID ruined the first half of the year. And then the last half of the year, I had a lot of other stuff going on, and I made a point to not play lots of smaller buy-in games. At the World Series of Poker this year, I think I only played like 8 tournaments, which is by far the least I ever played. And the reason for that is because I was out there hanging out with all of you. I did a lot of stuff to hang out with poker coaching members. We had 2 breakfasts out there. I also threw a party at Topgolf for anybody who works with me in any way. So we had, 40 or 50 poker pros, and a few members were there as well. Lots of people from the media, lots of people from, anyone I work with to some extent who was available to come out. So that was a lot of fun. And I also recorded a lot of content for YouTube. I probably recorded, I don't even know, 80 YouTube videos, give or take. If you've been seeing the videos with me and other people in front of a green screen, so we have the poker hand behind us. All those were filmed out in Las Vegas. We have a lot of those coming up with me, poker coaching coaches, students who won bracelets, etc., 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 etc. So anyway, I really didn't play a ton of poker, which is weird. It's a weird feeling for me because I used to play poker all the time. And it turns out when you play poker all the time, you actually do get pretty good feedback, pretty good results, right? Like your results will kind of start to show if you are a strong winning player or not. Over 18 tournaments, though, you're going to experience a lot of variance. Really, though, if you told me at the start of the year, I'm going to have 1 final table, 3 bubbles, knowing like that's going to happen sometimes, like that's fine, right? I mean, that's not all that bad because in reality, if you end up cashing 4 out of 18 tournaments or 4 out of 20 tournaments, and those times that you are like bubbling, you get in with 80% equity or whatever, and you could have had a whole lot of chips, it's like clearly that's a very good spot. So a little bit unlucky in those spots, but such is life. I know what I signed up for. Do I plan on doing the same thing next year? Yeah, probably. The thing is that as you get more opportunities in life, you inevitably have to cut out the lowest value things. And to be fair, this is why some people quit poker, because they have other stuff they can be doing to make a whole lot more money, right? And, I'm not super rich or anything, but at the same time, it does not make much financial sense for me to go play $500 tournaments anymore, because if you make, let's say, $300, you have a good 60% ROI. In reality, I could probably host this morning show, make another YouTube video or 2, and make $300 out the door, because that's going to add value to some of you, and you all in turn are going to want even more value. You're going to go to pokercoaching.com and sign up, and then I get paid, right? Because I'm adding value. I think there's a lot of value in making things that add value, making things that help other people succeed at whatever they're actually trying to succeed at. And a lot of my focus now has been on trying to help other people enjoy their experience better. Because, if you can help many thousands of people experience their experience better, they're going to reward you to some extent, right? I mean, we got this award over here for 100,000 YouTube subscribers. And people say, oh, how much money are you making from YouTube? $0. I spend, I don't even know, $20,000 a month on editing, et cetera, for YouTube. And I make $0 off this. I mean, I lose money every month on YouTube because it's worth it at the end of the day, because I know that some people are going to find my YouTube content, go to my training site, and sign up. Make a lot of money off the training site, but we lose a lot of money on YouTube. And I don't really mind. I don't care. It's a community service to some extent. And I'm happy to help. Happy to help. Thanks to all of you for enjoying it. Let's see what all of you are saying in the chat. Started playing poker recently. I already have a cash. Good. Your goal is to grow the bankroll. I will definitely say, whenever you are first starting poker, your goal needs to be to get as good as possible at poker. Don't worry so much about even growing the bankroll. The goal is to get good at poker. Because a great way to grow a bankroll is to play tiny stakes games against awful players and play 20 tables at a time. But you're not going to get good at poker. And the goal needs to be to get good at poker as quickly as possible. Riley says he just bought a premium membership. Awesome. If you all are interested in pokercoaching.com, check out pokercoaching.com/cyberweek. It's our biggest sale of the year, and you have 17 hours left to get it before we wrap it up. So check it out. The high hand bonuses count towards your hourly rate in cash games. I would say don't count them towards your like daily hourly rate, but towards your yearly hourly rate, sure. Now, obviously, if you get something like a bad beat jackpot, then yeah, that like you got to realize you're almost never gonna hit a bad beat jackpot, right? Like one every 10 years or something, whatever the number is. But hourly rate or high hand jackpots, you will hit those sporadically, right? Like once a year, twice a year, whatever it is. So those probably should count into your win rate, especially if you're counting the money that is taken out against your win rate, right? Because every hand you play, the casino takes some rake for the jackpots. So that's definitely counted against you, so you should definitely count whenever you do win. But don't think, oh man, I had a sick month. I had a $200 hourly rate because I played great. Realize your results are going to start to be a little bit skewed. Kind of like if you play tournaments. Should you count all of your wins in your results? Maybe you should, maybe you shouldn't. In terms of like your actual results, what they were, sure, it counts, right? But at the same time, imagine you're trying to plan out your life and you want to get a $1 million house. Let's say you won 5 tournaments this year for $500K each. You had an amazing year, right? Let's say you bought in for like $250K and you just happen to win $2.5 million this year. Should you assume you're going to make $2.5 million next year? Or cash for $2.5 million next year? Obviously not, right? So you have to be logical about what the results actually indicate. Bankroll management made variance easier. Yeah, definitely check out bankroll management. Very, very important. I have an article. Check out pokercoaching.com/bankroll. Rotley, if you just signed up, I would definitely recommend, if you already know how to play poker pretty well, check out either the cash game or tournament masterclass, depending on what you are going to play. Do I think I am profitable in the 50K and 100K fields? I do. I'm not all that profitable because I don't think anyone's that profitable, but if I had to guess, I'm somewhere between, 5 and 10% return on investment, which may not sound like much, but you got to realize if you're playing a $100,000 tournament and you make 5%, it's $5,000, and if on average the tournament lasts 5 hours for you, it's $1,000 an hour. But once you start playing against really, really good players, your goal is to just try to play reasonably close to GTO, and I think I play reasonably close to GTO, probably closer than most of the opponents. And I'm pretty clear on which opponents are either playing too tightly or too loosely. Some of the players just play like way too aggressively. And if you know your opponent's playing way too loose/aggressive, it's easy to adjust. You just don't fold, right? You're going to have a lot of variance, but you just don't fold. And then in all of these fields, there's 4 or 5 or 6, not horrible players, but like recreational players, right? And they're probably losing at 20 or 30 or 40%, something like that. And you can just do simple math. Say there's 5 players in a tournament with 50 people who are not good. Let's say they're all losing at 30%. 5 times 30% is 1.5 buy-ins divided by the other 45 people, right? It's got my calculator, so I don't screw this up. 1.5 divided by 45 equals 3.3% ROI. And I think that's probably about reasonable, right? Most of these games have little to no rake, which is great. All the tournaments in the Poker Go studio, if you show up on time, you pay $0 rake, which is great. So, that simple example with only one bad player per table, one like not that great player per table, assuming you're break even against the other pros, which I probably am roughly break even against the other pros. Maybe I'm a tiny loser, maybe I'm a tiny winner. I don't know. It's probably negligible. We're going to be somewhere in that 3 to 5% vicinity. If the games are softer, as I try to select the games that I know are going to be softer, your ROI will be up a little bit. This can be somewhere between 5 and 10%. What do I think about World Series at Paris/Bally's? It's definitely a nicer venue than the Rio. Oh my gosh, it was a funny story. I've told so many people this, where essentially at the start of the World Series, the men's restroom, there's one main men's restroom, has, a line of 15 urinals, let's say. At the start of the series, one of them was broken. Then like 2 or 3 days later, 2 of them were broken. Then 2 or 3 days later, 3 of them were broken. Till the end of the series, every single urinal was closed. Not optimal. Not optimal at all. It would be interested for me and Justin to break down his bracelet run, for sure. Poker coaching coach, content extraordinaire, Justin Saliba, just GTO, won a bracelet recently as well. We had a few students win bracelets. Justin, one of our coaches, won a bracelet. Good summer for all of them. We should break down his hand history. Yeah, I agree. Suggest that to him. Are we going to have GTO quizzes on the app? We already have pre-flop GTO quizzes on the app. Oh, you're asking if someone's doing the pre-flop GTO quizzes. Yeah, we have pre-flop GTO quizzes where essentially you can go back to that. Well, I don't know. Download the app. Download the poker coaching app and check it out. Played one World Series of Poker event. You played 3 events and cashed all 3. I don't know what you're saying here. You did well. Good. Try a wee bit more aggression in my play. I actually think, well, funny enough, if you're a poker coaching member, we're having a 30-day challenge coming up at the beginning of the year, and I go through my World Series and my main event and my $100,000 tournaments. And if you want a wee bit more aggression, we ramped it up. And I think it's good. I think it is good to generally be more aggressive. I realize that most people, if anything, don't find enough bluffs. And I want to make sure I'm finding enough bluffs. You know what I'm going to do real quick? Well, we're having a poker coaching homework webinar coming up very soon. And I'm going to show you real quick. Let's take a look at this spot. In a tournament against 40 big blind stacks on the button, or you're on the button, what do? You raise with this range. Okay, we're raising with this range pre-flop. Everybody knows this. Suppose we raise and the big blind calls. Flop comes 9, 5, 2. What do we do on 9, 5, 2? A lot of people think bet everything, but that's going to be very wrong because this board is very good for the opponent's range. Fine. We're supposed to bet these hands in red, mostly using a big size. Okay? We're just going to take that as a given. I'm going to show you what we're going to do on the turn, though, because this is important. Suppose you bet 6 big blinds, and the big blind calls, turns to Queen of Hearts. What do we do? Here we are on the turn. This is what I really want to look at here. Notice in this scenario, on 9, 5, 2, Queen, if we have a hand like 10, 3, 10, 4, King 3, King 4, these are bluffs that almost no one finds. But I've been working hard with the GTO solver and finding these bluffs more often. And that's quite valuable, right? This King 4 maybe only hearts, who knows? But you get what I'm saying, right? These are some like pretty low equity bluffs in this scenario here. Also hands like, King 6 offsuit here. Notice all the King 6 offsuits are bluffing. Notice all the King 7 offsuits are bluffing. Essentially, you want to have an overcard to the hands your opponent is somewhat likely to have. Your opponent's very likely to have a 9, right? So you want to have 1 or 2 overcards to that card. So you're going to see hands like any 2 overcards can be betting a lot, right? So let's take a look at unpaired overcards. Let's take a look at King Jack, right? King Jack bets almost every time. King 10 bets almost every time. Even hands like Ace 10, if you have it, bets almost every time. Ace Jack bets almost every time. Because these hands have 2 overcards to the 9, which is the hand the opponent most likely has, right? And this is something a lot of people don't do. If you give them King 7, they continuation bet big on 9, 5, 2, they just check fold. And that's a mistake. I've been working very hard to find these bluffs, and I think I'm doing that better today than I was in the past. As you study more and more, you inevitably find better and better bluffs, right? You accidentally bought 3 months twice. Email support@pokercoaching.com, please. You just signed up for premium. Where do you start? Assuming you're relatively new, check out the Master the Fundamentals course. If you're not relatively new, check out either the tournament or cash game masterclass. That'll be in the classes tab of pokercoaching.com. Or I'm sorry, that's in the courses tab of pokercoaching.com. 32% ROI in 200-person tournaments. Is that fine? Probably a touch. I mean, it depends on the buy-in, right? If this is tiny buy-ins, then it's probably a little bit low. If this is like $100 tournaments, it's probably fine. Probably good, actually. 30% ROI is roughly what people think you can have in most big field tournaments. If they're like medium and high stakes. If I had to estimate, give or take, maybe that's a little bit high. I'm not sure. So, I don't know. It's probably fine. I don't know. If you're making plenty of money and putting in good volume, then you're probably good to go. How would I compare my game against people like Adamo and Makita? Adamo and Makita play different strategies for sure. Adamo is massively aggressive. Makita is a little bit aggressive. I try to play closer to Makita than Adamo because I know Adamo is going to experience gigantic swings. The thing is a lot of people look at the people who are winning currently in the short run and presume those are the players who are the best players. I remember they interviewed Justin Bonomo a while back when he was on his super run, and they asked him, so what are you doing now that's letting you win compared to the few years ago when you bricked every tournament you played? Like, now I'm winning my flips. It's kind of true. Good example. Last 100K. We were down right before I busted, actually. I guess there must have been 15 or 16 people left. Folds to Adamo in the cutoff, or I think cutoff or button, one of the two. Anyway, he rips it all in for like effective 17 or 18 big blinds with ace 2 offsuit. Jason Kuhn calls in the small blind with ace 7, which is a little bit of a spicy call to begin with. Adamo has the ace 2. Adamo wins with the ace 2 against the ace 7. Adamo gets all the chips and wins the bracelet. you know, sometimes you're going to run hot. Definitely a world-class player. He gets in there and battles hard, but he's been winning a lot of hands. I played with him a bunch in the Poker Go studio when he was smashing it. He just kept making the nuts. You keep making the nuts over and over again, what are you going to do? Your opponents are going to lose. And that's it. Sometimes you win a lot of flips. I mean, I won Player of the Year a while back. You see that giant trophy up there? They gave me that for winning Player of the Year. And was I playing great then, or was I running hot? I'm sure it was a mix of both, right? And that's okay. We'd love to see GTO pre-flop charts for people who are colorblind. We do not have that currently. Maybe that's something we should make. The secret to living is giving. Probably true. As I get closer to 50 years old, I'm nowhere near 50 years old. Do you still feel players lose their ability to be profitable in poker? I think you can... I mean, look, you got to realize people lose cognitive capacity as they get older and older. It just happens, right? But as you know something very, 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 very well, inevitably, if you do lose something, it's going to be minimal, right? So I don't know. I think certainly there are plenty of 50-year-old players who are winning. That's not the number that I would think where it really starts to fall off. Probably more like 65, 70, give or take. I mean, I have a few students who are like 70, 75, 80, and they can actually play pretty well, but for a short period of time. So like they're going and taking naps during their dinner break and stuff like that. They're sleeping until the last second. And they realize they can play pretty well for 3 or 4 or 5 hours, but then they just lose their minds. Or they just like stop having the ability to focus great. And if you can see that coming ahead of time, you can do things to try to mitigate it. Why is GTO so passive? It's passive when you do not have the range and the nut advantage. It's aggressive when you have the range and the nut advantage. You enjoy my book, Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em Games. Good, I'm glad to hear it. Here that book is. Check it out, Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em Games. Did this book come out this year or last year? I'm not sure. I worked with all these players. You may or may not know them. We have some world-class players. We have Bert Stevens, literally #1 online tournament player in the world recently. Absolute crusher. He's a poker coach and coach now. And he streams regularly for the students. He guarantees a final table every time he plays. So far, I think he's kept it up. We have Vlada Stojanovic. He won a gigantic tournament on PokerStars recently for a few $1 million. Rob Tinian, he won the Sunday Million 2 times. It's absolutely amazing. Cavalito. Cavalito is the bounty crusher. Anyway, check it out. Excelling at Tough No Limit Hold'em Games. Good book featuring chapters by all these great players. I realize that I'm in a unique scenario where I get to talk with and learn from a lot of the absolute best poker players in the world on a regular basis. And a lot of people don't have that ability anymore. And I'm happy to share that with all of you, so hopefully you enjoy it. Played your first 2 World Series events. Hope you had a good time. Do you see a lot of recreational players in the 50 and 100K tournaments? What is a lot? I would say generally, just the last 100K I played, there were 2 recreational players. You gotta realize the recreational players, like I said, in the 100Ks are not really, really bad. Like, they play very well. If anything, they choose to be aggressive, usually in spots that do not necessarily make the most sense. They just randomly decide to bluff. And a lot of them are hyper-aggressive. They make a point to try to ruin the professional's day. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Congrats on 100K YouTube subs. Now 100K more crushers in the game. Exactly. To be fair, 100,000 people don't watch all my videos. Your biggest accomplishment was going from $150 to $800. Nice job. Keep grinding it up. I remember when I turned my first $50 into something like $1,000. I had a hard time getting above $1,000 for a while. And, got to keep grinding. Just got to keep grinding. Isn't Jonathan like 35 LOL? How old am I? I was born in 84. Can someone figure that out? December 22nd, 1984. I lose track. It changes every year. With 70 big blinds in a tournament. You're in 70 big blinds in a tournament on day 2. Just play great. Isuru. People ask me this all the time. I made day 2 of a tournament. I got X number of chips. Any advice? The advice is just keep playing great. Realize this is a tournament just like any other tournament. And all you can do is show up and continue playing well. I can't give you a crash course in how to play 70 big blind stack poker, not knowing the stacks of the opponents at the table, not knowing how close you are to getting in the money, etc., 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 right? So You got to realize when you go to play poker, you are simply implementing the strategy that you have learned before you actually go to play poker, whether or not you know what that strategy is. And what I recommend you do is I recommend you study as much as you possibly can before you play poker. And that's going to result in you being way better than your opponents. And if you're way better than your opponents, you're going to make better decisions with them and you're going to win. So check it out, pokercoaching.com. You're 56 and you're winning more than ever. Good. Probably because you're working hard and you're studying, right? The great thing about poker is that if you find a game you can beat and you play it a lot and you keep a proper bankroll, you will win. Period. Most people, though, they want to play in games that are too tough for them. Or they don't want to study and get better at the game. So they miss part number 1 of the equation. They can't find a game they can beat. They miss part number 2 of the equation. They don't play a lot. Myself included, right? Like I said, I played 18 tournaments this year. It's not a lot. So I should not expect to have any sort of consistent results. I could either be up a ton or down a ton, and it doesn't indicate anything about skill level to some extent. So you have to find a game you can beat. You have to play a lot. And then you have to keep a proper bankroll. So you got to do those 3 things. If you do those 3 things, you will win. Let's see. Burt streams are amazing. Yeah. Burt streams are amazing. Pure gold. I completely agree. John says, this book got you into Pokar. Oh my gosh, amazing. I'm glad to hear it. Pokar is a backing company I'm an advisor to, powered by Pokar. Check it out, pokar.com, Pocarr.com. All these coaches are, well, coaches on pokar.com in one way or the other. At least they were when the book was written. A lot of them were backees. Burt Stevens started off as a Pokar backee. Grinded all the way up to the number 1 in the world. Rob Tinian was a Pokar backee. Won the Sunday Million 2 times. Etc., etc. Lots of great players that came out of Pokar. So good. Yeah, that link doesn't work. Not sure which link you're referring to. I'm 37 now. 37's coming up. Whew, that's good. I was thinking, am I 37 already? 3 final tables, didn't place higher than 5th. Matt, check out pokercoaching.com in the Tournament Masterclass. We have a lot of GTO examples in the GTO section. I'm sorry, not GTO. ICM examples in the ICM section. Also, check out the various deep runs that I recorded that are part of the Tournament Masterclass. I think I recorded, 8 or 10 tournaments that I played recently where I made deep runs. And you'll see how I was navigating those spots. Also, check out the Draft Ganger streams at pokercoaching.com because, like I said, he final tables something every single stream. And he goes through and shows how he's doing it, right? You can ask him questions in real time if you watch live. What's the best route to go pro, tournament or cash games? You have to ask what kind of graph do you want to have? Do you want results that slowly trickle up? Or do you want slow decline and then giant spikes? Slow decline and then giant spikes. Because that's how tournaments work. I personally think if you want to grind out a consistent living, cash games are by far the best thing to do. If you could play 5, 10, or 10, 20 no limit hold'em live, you're going to be making $100 or $200 per hour, which is great money, and it's going to be relatively consistent. That said, most people play something like 2-5 in their local casino or 1-3. Then you're making $30 an hour, $50 an hour. That is still an amazing living. You can play as much as you want, because usually those games run around the clock. And if you table select and game select, you'll actually make a ton. So, just think about it, right? If you make $50 an hour and you play... Let's get out the calculator so don't screw this up. I'm so bad at math. All right. Let's say you're going to play 50 hours a week because you're trying to make money, times $50 an hour. That's $200. What's wrong with me today? $2,500 per week times 4 weeks. In a month, you're making $10,000 a month, or about $120,000 per year if you're grinding out kind of hard. And that's not even that hard. Whenever I used to play, I was playing 70-hour weeks, right? So making $120K a year playing 2-5 no limit. Not so bad. What's the best starting place for an old-time live player? The tournament or cash game masterclass at pokercoaching.com. Check it out right now, pokercoaching.com/ oh my gosh, I have the wrong URL. I see what you're all trying to tell me now. Pokercoaching.com / cyberweek. Okay. You see, everyone, I don't do a little brain fuel for a while, and I completely screwed up. Pokercoaching.com. I might be the worst person on YouTube as a YouTube person who has 100,000 subscribers. It's probably true. Actually, I know that's not true. It's probably true. Pokercoaching.com / cyberweek. Sorry, everyone who's been trying to sign up. I just don't know how to type. Anyway, check out pokercoaching.com/cyberweek. Go to the tournament or cash game masterclass, depending on whichever one you want to do. You think I'm winning at 3% compared to other pros? You got to realize the pros and the $100,000 tournaments are all very good. I will say that I'm like keenly aware of the exploits that some of the players are making, because some of them are like a little bit too tight, some of them are a little bit too loose. And I definitely know how to adjust to take advantage of that. And I think maybe the other players do not presume I'm going to be adjusting to take advantage of that, or they presume the other players aren't going to do that. December's a big month in my home. It absolutely is. Absolutely is. Wicker, subscribed at Black Friday. You studied for 20 hours. Awesome. I'm glad to hear it. Good job, good work. Get in there and study up a ton. How do you buy that book in Indonesia? I don't know how you buy the book in Indonesia. Rizky? Sorry if I don't know how to say your name. Amazon has it. If you have Amazon, definitely you can buy it on Amazon. If you don't have it on Amazon, you can try dandbpoker.com, dandbpoker.com, and do that. You'd rather listen to all the books? Do you recommend not listening to audiobooks? I mean, I think physical books are better, because whenever you're reading the physical book, you can just like look at the graph, look at the chart, right? There's, like, for example, in the audiobooks, I go through and say what this chart says. Come on, camera. I say what this chart says right here. But it's kind of hard to do that in an audiobook. I do it in the audiobook to the best of my ability. I mainly say the big takeaways, but it's easier to read that. However, like if you like listening to audiobooks, then listen to audiobooks. E.P. Charles says, Michael Acevedo and Bert Stevens reviewing their hand histories is ridiculously good for final table review and everything else. Yeah, so Michael Acevedo is the GTO master. He wrote this book, Modern Poker Theory. I went back and edited this book to make it as readable as we possibly could. Anyway, here's Michael Acevedo. Super grinder, gets in there, battles hard. He wrote this book, Modern Poker Theory. Again, tough book if it's an audiobook. I don't know if they have it in an audiobook format. But he wrote this book, and he's the GTO master. I hired him as a coach at pokercoaching.com because he is probably one of the absolute best GTO players in the world. And he understands it better than everybody. And him and Bert Stevens review deep runs that both those players played together, and those are very, very beneficial. I completely agree. What's more profitable over the next 5 years for someone with a full-time job, poker or crypto? These are very different games, right? I think poker is more predictably good, whereas crypto NFTs are, at least they feel more gambly to me. I don't know. I have loads of NFTs and I have loads of poker experience. And the thing is you can, if you want to make money from poker, you kind of have to go sit there and grind poker. Like, you don't really have any other option. You got to find a game you can beat and play it a lot, right? Whereas with crypto, if you just like make one or two good buys, that's like all you really need to do. I mean, I got kind of lucky with CryptoPunks. I bought a few CryptoPunks and they, made many multiples on a pretty big number to begin with, and that's just lucky, right? But thought it was a good trade. I've also made plenty of other trades that were not so good. So, you're going to win some and lose some in both games. But I think that poker's definitely something that requires more time. But at the same time, like, NFTs could just go into the dumpster, right? I don't think crypto across the board is going to go into the dumpster, but it could, right? I think what a lot of people do wrong with crypto, though, is they try to get rich quick. And everything people try to get rich quick, right? People have $10,000 to their name and they play the main event. It's not a good decision. But they do. Sometimes they get rich quick, but usually they lose. Whenever you're doing things like leveraging your money to buy anything, if you're getting 5x leverage, 100x leverage, like, you're probably going to lose, right? I mean, if you think about it, if you were just put your money in Bitcoin over the last 5 years, but you were leveraged 5x or 10x, you probably would have gone broke. Whereas if you just had no leverage, you would be up loads of money, right? So yeah, I mean, it's probably another good way to get rich slowly. That said, I don't know. 4 players left in a sit and go. Top 3 get money. All players roughly 10 big blinds. You're third on the button with ace jack. What hands would I shove here? Did the cutoff shove? I don't know. I mean, I would be... this is an easy question. Look up ICMizer. jlpoker.com/ICM and do that. How are monthly homework webinars changing? Instead of me going through a whole bunch of homework answers, I'm going to go through the common questions I know people are going to have, and that's going to save me a lot of time and also help fix a few problems where people are having issues with the forum and not having a good user experience. which players do I look up to? I look up to lots and lots and lots of poker players. Anyone who is working hard to improve their skills, crushing the game, having good longevity, all those players I look up to very much. Should you prefer live? Wait, let's see. Should you prefer cash game? Oh, you prefer live cash games. Should you play some online for practice? Yeah, I think small stakes online is a great thing to do. Your content and interactive learning methods make your content miles above the competition. Well, thank you, Keegan. That's the goal. It's definitely the goal. I've learned a long time ago that interactive learning is way better than passive learning. And fortunately, I'm in a industry, the poker training space, where almost everyone puts out passive content. They want you to watch their videos. I want you to take the quizzes. Y'all haven't figured this out yet. I want all of you to take the quizzes. I want you to do the homework. I want you to interact in the live streams with literally the best poker players in the world, right? That's what I'm trying to get all of you to. I'm not trying to get you to sit back and have a beer and relax. And, you know, that makes my content a little bit harder to watch and to observe than content of some of the other people in the space. But I think we're going to make you a whole lot better at poker a whole lot faster. And it turns out if you help people get good at a skill quickly, they appreciate that, right? Because I realize time is very limited. I might be a little bit, I guess, anal is probably the right word. I'm a little bit anal about making sure that I make good use of my time, because I realize time is the main resource in life you cannot replenish. And you got to make sure that you are not squandering your time. What can you improve by doing the homework? You improve your overall understanding of poker, which is vitally important. I mean, let's just go back over here to this image right here, right? Take a look at this. In this scenario, would you know you're supposed to be bluffing the king 7 offsuit in this spot if you were not studying? It's when you raise button, big blind calls, flop comes jack 9, 5, 2. Big blind checks, you bet big, they call. You bet big flop with polarized range, right? Including a lot of backdoor draws like king 7. You can bet king 7 and then fold if you get raised. On the turn, they check on the queen. Do you know you're supposed to be betting the king 7? Have you probably gone through and tried to balance your range to see that you actually do get to bluff here a pretty good amount of the time, especially since you have a reasonably big nut advantage? Do you know you have a big nut advantage here? Well, if you've been studying a lot, you will know this. If you know you have a big nut advantage, you know you get to bluff a ton, especially with high equity bluffs. And this is a spot where you probably get to keep betting with almost everything. And as we see, GTO says, bet 84% of the time on this queen. And I would venture to say you should probably bet even more, like 100%. But how would you know that if you're not studying? You would just be guessing, right? If you're consistently guessing, it's not going to work out for you. You want to make sure you're not guessing. And it's nice to have someone go through and show you this is a very good starting point. You will then adjust from there. Louis Philippe, who runs the Poker Coach and Study Session, says, in our Discord, starting after this show, you're going to be reviewing hand histories from one of the members in a $16.50 tournament in the Poker Coaching Discord. Definitely get in the Poker Coaching Discord if you have not. We were doing various fun things like Ask Me Anything sessions. We actually had an Ask Me Anything the other day where people got on the line and asked me questions. We did that for about an hour and a half. That was a lot of fun. We have some great moderators there, God's Big Toe and Crazy Sixes, if you know them from streaming on Twitch. So yeah, should you memorize the chart of GTO? No. Kale, look, you got to realize that there's millions of charts that you would have to memorize. You need to memorize the principles that come from it. You should know Queen of Hearts gives a lot of my flop bluffs big range advantage, right? And we also have a lot of nuts here because Queen Jack on this board is effectively the nuts on Queen 9, 5, 2, right? So if you know that, you know that you now need to have a whole lot of bluffs. You also know that you probably want to be betting big in this scenario because we have a big range advantage and a big nut advantage, and the opponent's range connectivity is very high. I discussed this thoroughly in my Tournament Masterclass. The Tournament Masterclass, the whole purpose of this is to teach you how to play good, strong, fundamentally sound poker, GTO poker, and then how to adjust to take advantage of whatever your opponents do wrong. Like I said here, GTO bets 85% of the time, but I would probably bet closer to 100. And I think that's fine because most people are going to overfold on this turn. So you're not trying to memorize the chart. You're trying to memorize the principles that come from the chart and realize that these few things have happened, therefore I do this, right? And that's what we're trying to accomplish with learning GTO strategies. And if you learn how to play closer to GTO than your opponents, and you know how to adjust away from it to take advantage of whatever your opponents do wrong better than your opponents, you're just going to win money. It's like impossible not to win money. In the long run, of course. Quit caffeine. Probably should. You got to realize, again, time is limited. My work time is Monday to Friday, 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. That's it. It's all the time I have to work for the most part, unless I want to stay up late. And I don't like staying up so late because I got to wake up at 6 a.m. and deal with my children. So I need to make sure I'm maximally productive during my work time. Now, whenever I am on vacation, or to be fair, even when I'm playing poker, a little bit less, some portion of the time I'm not really on caffeine much at all. Before I go to play poker, I make a point to get off of caffeine so that it's especially useful. But I go marginally hard on it when I say marginally hard, I mean a cup of coffee and a brain fuel is all I'm taking. You all probably think I'm on cocaine or something. This does have a decent amount of caffeine, but it releases slowly throughout the day. And I'm telling you, I am maximally productive from 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. Monday to Friday, which I think is ideal. Let's see. Thanks for the time today. You're very welcome. We actually have a webinar coming up, right? Did I get my schedule right? For all those who wonder what I'm bad at, I'm bad at keeping track of my schedule. Look at this calendar. Calendar's like just jam-packed with stuff. Look at this mess. How do you keep track of this mess? It's just like stuff all over the place. Yeah, we have a webinar. 10 a.m. Eastern time in 13 minutes. We're going to be discussing that pretty interesting spot. Nice brain fuel plug. I mean, look. Just trying to tell you what works for me. And it does. It works great. Brain Fuel is A+. Check it out at brainfuel.com. Use promo code POKERCOACHING. You'll get a bit of a discount. Did he say he caffeinated a lot? A brain fuel and a cup of coffee. Call that a lot. I actually don't think it's a lot. I think it's a reasonable amount. Maybe a touch high. But again, I'm going for maximum productivity. And I make a point to get off of it some portion of the time. Everything. Most things are okay if used in moderation. And even if you go kind of hard for a week at a time or 2 weeks at a time, it's probably okay. It's probably okay. Is this a walk-in closet? Well, yes, it is. Do you like it? Cute little closet, huh? The new flavors are pretty good. Yeah, I like the new flavors. They are good. They are good. The wall is right here, and the wall is right here, and the ceiling is way up there above all the trophies. You see all the trophies? You see the door way up there in the corner? Yes, this is a walk-in closet. Would you believe I have literally no ventilation in this closet? I sit in this closet. It's like a sauna. Well, 8 or 9 hours a day, and I work for all of you, and I do not mind. I enjoy spending my time to help all of you. Thank you for spending your valuable time with us. I mean, look, you got to realize that my goal is to help all of you appreciate and enjoy your experience here on Earth. We all have one life, and I realize people like doing some things that I can help with, right? I can help you learn to play poker better. Hopefully, I can help you with things like bankroll management, finances, etc., within reason, and things like mindset, right? I'm generally decent at these things. Understand, I'm not trying to teach you stuff that I am not necessarily an expert in. All of you, half of you seem to want me to talk about NFTs and cryptocurrencies, but again, I don't think I'm an expert, right? I've done quite well in them, but I don't think I'm an expert. And I'm not trying to teach you things that I do not know, because I think that's just deceiving you to some extent, right? I realize the things I'm expert in and the things I'm not expert in. People ask me to teach various other poker games, like PLO or short deck or whatever. And like, while I am pretty good at PLO, I'm certainly not an expert, right? And I mean, I'm probably better than literally everyone in the chat, so maybe I'm an expert compared to everybody else. But you know what I'm saying, right? I am trying to teach you things that I know are definitively correct and good that will add value to your life. And you got to realize we have 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Check it out. 100,000 YouTube subscribers. Can you see it? Can you see it? It's kind of hard to see. Presented to jonathanlowepokercoaching.com for 100,000 subscribers. Look at that. Yeah? Look at that giant microphone. Yeah, that's all of you. You see that little camera there? That's what you all look like. Anyway, if I can spend my time helping all of you improve your skills, and it takes 1 unit of my hour, one of my hours to help thousands of hours, to have thousands of hours of benefit for all of you, it's well worth it. It would be a disservice to all of you to not spend 1 hour of my life to help thousands of hours for all of you, right? Sometimes you realize you have almost duty to some extent, and I feel a great amount of, I guess this obligation is the right word, but like I want to be doing it. It's like obligation, but I want to be doing it. I feel like this is what I need to be doing. This is the highest value thing I can be doing on this earth at this point in time. So I'm very, very happy to do it. I'm very, very happy to spend my time helping all of you enjoy your lives more. Eric says you enjoy Matt Affleck's content. Great. Glad to hear it. Bring on more coaches. Ooh, we have a few of the biggest names in poker we are talking to right now to make content for poker coaching over the next year. Do you collate? Maybe you're saying collaborate. Do I collaborate with other poker coaching sites? Not so much. I will say, how much into business do we want to go into? We have a few minutes here. Look, I realize you all like my content a lot, okay? I have a big base of subscribers here on YouTube and Twitch and Twitter and Facebook, and I have a lot of paying subscribers at pokercoaching.com. These subscribers are incredibly valuable, and it's my job, my duty again, to protect them. Whenever I go to work with someone else, there's always some off risk that they are going to screw up in the future in one way or the other. And I don't really know those other people who you mentioned. I'm sure their training sites are very good. I'm a subscriber to some of them. But at the same time, what if I collaborate with them and then they do something out of line and that looks bad on me? What if you become a member of their site and then they just disappear? Because it seems like poker players, especially those who, poker players in general have a propensity to just disappear for 6 months. I don't want all of you signing up to a training site that's just going to disappear for 6 months, right? That's not how we operate. You can trust me to not do it because I've been here for forever and I'm not leaving. You can trust me when I say I'm not leaving. And it's tough to collaborate with people you don't necessarily know, and I don't know those people very well is what it amounts to. All the coaches at pokercoaching.com I generally know. I trust them to not defraud anyone, right? I trust them to do good things. And you can trust me to vet the people who I am actively working with. So anyway, I have a big list of people who want to learn poker from me and the people who I trust. And it's nothing against the other people, other training sites you mentioned. I just don't know them all that well, right? And the thing is that a lot of people really, really want to get in front of that list of people who are really trying to get good at poker, essentially like a good list of potential customers, right? And it's my job to be very protective of that list of potential customers, which is why I don't go around collaborating with everyone. I'm very selective about it. Hyper selective about it. Because there are a lot of people out there who, nothing against those other people. I actually like all those people mentioned. I just don't know them. I don't know them is what it amounts to. And it's my job to be protective of all of you. You got to realize, who pays Jonathan Little? At the end of the day, you all pay me to be here, even if you're here for free. You click the like and subscribe button, right? That adds something, right? You click the like and subscribe button, it gives me a penny or whatever it is, and it costs you nothing. If you're a poker coaching member, you fund me, my life, my team's lives, a bunch of the other coaches. They all make money on this, right? And essentially, it's like you're hiring a coach, right? It's the coach's job to do everything they can to make the student successful. I don't make money from any other source, right? You don't see me actively promoting any other poker site, like a playing site, because to be fair, if they started paying me, you should take my words to be less valuable. Now, I would work with a few of the poker sites out there because I like them a lot, but I get paid by you. It's my job to give you 100% accurate, honest, open feedback because, if I somehow mess up and screw all of you, then that's not good for me in general, right? So you have to always ask, where's this person's paycheck coming from to some extent? You see people who are, pros for unlicensed, unregulated, illegal gambling sites telling you how great the site is. You should not trust them. Why? Because they're getting paid. Not by you, by the site, right? So you got to be careful listening to what people say because you always have to ask, where does the money come from? And unfortunately, in the poker space, a lot of the money comes from you getting raked to death. And if someone's getting paid by the rake, you should trust them to try to increase the rake for whatever they're doing. Anyway, that's that. We don't need to get into that too much. All right. Thanks to all of you for being here. I appreciate it. Hope you're having a great day. You trust me. Well, you got to realize trust is earned over the long run. And I'm also kind of fortunate to be in a space where a lot of people don't stick around for the long run. Someone just mentioned they did some, like imagine, there are a lot of people who try to get into the poker educational space and they realize they're not getting rich because it's not a get rich quick game. And they get discouraged and disgruntled because it takes a lot of time and effort. It's good for me because I've been here for a long time. I've done it for free. I mean, for the first 4 or 5 years I ran a poker training site, I lost $5,000 a month spending money on content. And it's kind of like what I do here on YouTube today. It was a community service to some extent, right? I'm happy to help all of you, even if it costs me some money, because I'm in a fortunate spot where I've been fortunate at poker and have had a decent amount of money, right? Happy to spend some of it. Happy to give some of it away. It's not a problem. I want to, right? It's to some extent my duty. And a lot of people are not in it for the long run. It should be pretty clear to all of you, if you're paying attention, who is in it for the long run and who is not. Also, it should be hopefully clear to you who is adding value and who is not. And, you know, you're all here, so you enjoy the work, you enjoy the content, and I appreciate all of you for being here. You're about 40 way through the tournament masterclass. Then you're going to go through the cash game class. Is there a lot of difference in tactics? Essentially, the tournament class is designed mainly for 20 and 40 big blind play, whereas the cash game class is designed for 100 and 200 big blind play. And there are differences in tactics because you're playing deeper stacked. You can probably quickly go through the pre-flop section and the introduction section, but post-flop play will start to be very, very different. I was the first person to tell you not to trust the sites with your money while everyone else is getting paid by them. I mean, look, yeah, you got to realize paid representatives of any site are paid to tell you to go do the thing that the sponsor wants you to do, right? If a legitimate good site, let's say Party Poker, good actor in the community, starts paying me to promote them, you should trust what I say about Party Poker less than what I say about the other sites. And to be fair, what some of these sites do, you all may not know this, but I know this because I've experienced it personally, they pay their pros to try to speak poorly about other sites and other people. And it's tough whenever someone is, like, you don't naturally think, most people, I mean me, I would not naturally think that sites out there would be paying their pros to speak poorly about other people and other companies. But they do. I know for a fact they do, because I've talked to pros who did not like that they were being told to speak poorly about me and other people in the community. And it is what it is. You got to realize where the money comes from. Always follow the money at the end of the day. My money comes from all of you. It comes from my students at pokercoaching.com, so you can trust me to not mess that up, right? So I show up every day and I do good work. That's that. Hope you all have a great day. I have a poker coaching webinar starting right now in 1 minute. Should probably get started with that. Good luck in your games. I hope you have an amazing week. Make the most of your opportunities. Hope you have a great holiday season. You're going to start playing at Dusk Till Dawn soon. Yeah, I like Rob Young a lot. That's his place in Nottingham. It's a great place. I did a breakfast there actually one time for poker coaching members. It was a lot of fun. Next time I'm there, we'll definitely do it again. It was a great meetup. We had a breakfast at that Italian place right across the street. Anyway, have a great day. Good luck. Make the most of your opportunities.